A legend who spoke truth to greatness supplied the facts that startled everyone. Nobody predicted the overwhelming emotion that erupted when Larry Bird grabbed the podium and said something that would forever affect our perspective of Caitlin Clark. Before the room exploded in loud applause, the Boston Celtics star, who is notorious for his chilly demeanor and premeditated trash talk, said something so meaningful about the rookie Indiana Fever player that it left everyone stunned. Magic that goes beyond a game itself is created when basketball aristocracy sees generational talent. But what could Bird have said to make one of basketball's most powerful opponents cry and an audience stand up? What lessons about excellence did French Licks Hickenpart that struck a deep chord with everyone there during this spectacular exchange? Unbeknownst to most fans, Larry Bird has a profound connection to Indiana basketball and a specific take on what it means to represent the state at the top levels of professional basketball. Throughout his great career with the Boston Celtics, Bird, who was born in West Bend, Indiana, and raised in French Lick, represented small-town Indiana basketball ideals. He can relate to Caitlin Clark's journey from Iowa College sensation to WNBA superstar because he understands the pressure and expectations that come with carrying the hopes of an entire basketball-passionate state. Bird's career path and Clark's journey to stardom are comparable in that they both exceeded expectations while retaining their work ethic and Midwestern values. In environments where basketball is more than just entertainment, both players polish their skills. Communities are defined by this way of life, which also leaves permanent heritage. Bird's enthusiasm for Clark's exploits comes from his awareness of the special hardships endured by athletes who are the burden of local pride and expectations. Regardless of gender or time era, Bird has continuously showed admiration for players who combine great talent with an unrelenting work ethic. Throughout his post-playing career, he has consistently highlighted basketball fundamentals, competitive spirit, and the mental fortitude needed to win at the highest levels in his observations on different basketball players. These attributes are exactly what Clark has displayed as she has gone from dominating college to flourishing in the job. The basketball legend's stance on contemporary players typically underscores the significance of honoring the game's legacy while pushing limitations and achieving new heights. His appreciation of Clark's influence on women's basketball is symptomatic of his awareness of how individual greatness can boost entire leagues and drive players in the future. It is uncertain what exact parts of Clark's game and personality he might have thought impressive enough to earn public attention and appreciation. Basketball superstars from all levels of the sport have taken notice of Caitlin Clark's rookie season performances, comparing her to some of the best players in history owing to her statistical proficiency and competitive effect. Players who are aware of the difficulties of competing at the top levels recognize her ability to boost teammates, perform in key occasions, and handle pressure while preserving her true personality. Bird's basketball philosophy, great court vision, clutch performance, unwavering confidence, and the capacity to enhance teammates via both leadership and play are all aspects of the young superstar's style of play. The full basketball package that Bird himself embodied during his Hall of Fame career is reflected in her eagerness to take and make hard shots, as well as her passing ability that opens possibilities for others. Similar to how Bird altered NBA popularity. In the 1980s, Clark's influence on WNBA attendance and viewership has opened opportunities for the league. Through their compelling personalities and spectacular performances at key occasions, both players brought basketball to new audiences. Their career trajectories are significantly related by their abilities to transcend sport and become cultural icons who stand for something larger than personal accomplishment. Any basketball great who appreciates the specific difficulties of holding league-wide expectations would praise her maturity and poise in handling media attention, competitive rivalries, and the strain of being the face of women's professional basketball. Sports analysts suggest that Bird's respect for Clark's successes may be a reflection of his awareness of similar experiences in constructing basketball legacies while being loyal to himself. A generational bridge in basketball brilliance spanning decades of the sport's history is represented by the meeting point of Bird's legacy and Clark's rising greatness. While Clark's influence on women's basketball has created comparable opportunities for growth and prominence in the WNBA, Bird's career helped establish the NBA as a worldwide entertainment sensation during the 1980s. Both sportsmen have demonstrated they can strengthen their sports by combining team success with individual excellence. Bird has a unique perspective on the problems Clark faces as the most well-known player in women's professional basketball because he knows what it's like to be the center of significant media attention and fan expectations. Any judgment of Clark's capacity to effectively handle her rise to professional renown would benefit from his experience dealing with criticism, admiration, and the continual attention that comes with being a superstar. Players who are aware of the mental and physical hardships of playing at the best levels naturally admire one another, and Clark's fierce approach to every game mirrors the competitive fire that marked Bird's career. When the stakes are at their highest, whether in key games, playoff situations, or circumstances where their teams rely on outstanding individual performance, both players have proved to be able to produce at their best. They were both recruited by clubs that required drastic reform. There is a shared theme of how individual players may shift franchise trajectories via leadership and excellent play between Bird joining a faltering Celtics club and Clark joining a fever organization that hadn't recently achieved success. The repercussions might imply that Bird's appreciation of Clark's successes shows how much he loves the overall basketball package he stands for. Basketball players in different eras have had distinct potential and problems due to the generational growth of ability and athleticism. But the core elements of excellence have not altered throughout time. Bird has a strong grasp of what divides competent athletes from transcendent people who revolutionize their sports, as demonstrated by his ability to detect outstanding talent regardless of gender or generation. Clark's shooting range, court vision, and competitive instincts are instances of the present evolution of qualities that Bird himself invented while he was a player. Her ability to try and make shots from distances that would have been impossible in Bird's day highlights how the game has progressed while retaining the essential ideals of basketball brilliance that he developed. Both players possess the basketball IQ that distinguishes great players from excellent ones, which includes the aptitude to understand defensive tactics, generate advantages for teammates, and make split-second assessments under duress. Bird's observation of these qualities of Clark's game would undoubtedly result in appreciation and respect for her basketball intelligence and skill through their presence, leadership, and basketball choices that facilitate other success. Both players have showed the outstanding capacity to develop colleagues. This cooperative attitude to individual brilliance has always been a defining attribute of genuinely excellent basketball players who know that both individual, music, and team accomplishment are important for success. Beyond stats and trophies, basketball superstars have a cultural impact on how fans of all ages view, participate in, and enjoy the game. Bird's career contributed to the growth of basketball as a non-sporting form of entertainment. Although Clark's accomplishments are opening doors for women's basketball to reach new audiences and gain more recognition, their shared Midwestern upbringing and values foster connections that go beyond basketball, such as respect for diligence, humility, and commitment to craft that appeal to fans who place more value on authenticity than flash. Both athletes have become superstars while preserving their actual selves, which makes them more relatable and influential. Being the face of basketball greatness implies a duty to portray the sport in a favorable light while pushing the envelope and reaching new heights of performance. Bird's perception of Clark's management of her position as the most visible player in women's professional basketball would be influenced by his comprehension of this obligation. There are questions over how basketball legends from various eras may work as mentors and sources of knowledge for players today who compete in more advanced versions of the same sport and confront identical problems. Music, the repercussions could imply that Bird's acknowledgement of Clark demonstrates gratitude for her efforts as well as grasp of the overall difficulty she has faced. The obstacles that modern basketball encounters are different from those that Bird experienced during his career due to its global reach and media coverage. However, the inherent issue of upholding brilliance while handling criticism does not alter throughout time. Any competitor who is aware of the mental challenges of long-term success would definitely applaud Clark's ability to prosper in the face of exceptional attention for a women's basketball player. The technical elements of both players' games, such as shooting accuracy, passing precision, and competitive timing show that they have mastered the fundamentals of basketball while pushing the limits of what is acceptable within the framework of the sport. Bird's enthusiasm for technical excellence would obviously extend to praising Clark's skill progression and performance under hardship. Great basketball players have always been recognized from good players by their innovation and originality. Bird and Clark have both proved that they are capable of creating scoring and playmaking possibilities that other players are unable to imagine or carry out. This unique method to problem-solving in the environment of basketball shows the kind of basketball intelligence that is unaffected by historical periods or rule adjustments. Both sportsmen display leadership attributes, such as the capability to set an example for teammates, remain collected under pressure, and accept blame for the success or failure of the team in ways that indicate maturity beyond their years of renown. Bird's recognition of these attributes in Clark would be indicative of his knowledge of the contrasts between athletes who excel on an individual basis, music, and those who enhance entire companies. As we look to the future of basketball excellence, the bond between current stars and legendary players develops mutual respect and knowledge exchange that is favorable to the entire sport. As Clark continues to construct her own history, Bird's career offers a paradigm for long-term achievement and professional longevity. Throughout basketball history, athletes like Bird contributed to the NBA's rise to popularity in the 1980s. And Clark is currently establishing comparable possibilities for women's professional basketball, illustrating the effect of individual talent on league-wide success. They have a common grasp of the extraordinary opportunities and pressures that come with transcendent skill. Since they have both carried league-wide expectations, basketball's ability to recognize accomplishment, regardless of the unique circumstances in which it occurs, is evidenced by the community's recognition of brilliance across genders and eras. Bird's praise for Clark's accomplishments is a reflection of how inclusive basketball is and how players who are aware of the demands of competing at the highest levels automatically respect one another. Sports analysts suggest that the regard that basketball oldies and current stars have for one another may lead to chances for information exchange and mentoring that would be useful to both individual players and the greater basketball community. Given the circumstances, it is legitimate to wonder how the experience of prior generations might benefit and drive present athletes who compete in more advanced forms of the same sport and encounter analogous problems. Please feel free to like this video if you are as affected by the link between basketball grade as we are. Leave a comment with your ideas. What, in your opinion, about Caitlin Clark reminds Larry Bird of actual basketball greatness? How vital is it that legends acknowledge and promote the following generation of superstars? We would want to know your perspectives on how basketball excellence unifies athletes from all eras and crosses generations.